It's roll after midnight ram. Oh, shh, it's late. The neighbors. Thank you again for another episode of Roro After Midnight, also known as RAM. Right now we're cramming because we have a lot to talk about with our guest, very, very special guest. You may have seen him in so many things on TV and in film. So before we get started, I'd like to go through my checklist of what to do. First of all, it's Roro After Midnight, also known as RAM. And it's a nightly live stream via Facebook and YouTube. As you can see down there, that's the address. It's 11 p.m. Pacific, 1 a.m. Central, 2 a.m. Eastern. We're going to have a time change next week. We're going to go an hour earlier. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Roro the Tenor. Send me 50 cents on Venmo as well. Now, we're going to start with our first section of the day. The joke of the day. The joke of the day is, did you hear about the kidnapping in the park? They woke him up. And our pickup line of the day is, it's handy that I have my library card, because I'm totally checking you out. Ow! I know, that's so very Roro. Again, I'd like to thank my husband. The joke and pickup line of the day generally is donated by my husband, Steven. You can follow me on Instagram at Steverino Hunter. Thank you, honey. He's like, that's his job, is to find me jokes that totally matches my personality. And again, I remind everyone, please wear a mask, social distance, and wash your hands. Make sure that you wear your mask while you're watching this, because I'm going to cough at you. Anyway, so now we jump to our special guest tonight. I'm going to turn off the camera because I don't want to see all the... Oh, you can see me. Hello. Look at that. Oh, it's pulsating. My favorite pastime, pulsation. And this is our guest tonight. He is the incomparable Steve Trzaska. And I'm going to bring him up right now. Wait. I'm the only one working here. Done. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Roro, what's up?
I'm doing fine. Long time no see. Last time Steve and I saw each other was 2009. But we kept in touch every time. I like his post. He likes my post. But I see him on TV every time. So you can't really miss him. I mean, like, it's like, can you turn on the TV? It's like, it's like, I'm going to watch online. It's like, there he is again.
I think this is such a cool idea that what you're doing. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I realize, I'm always thinking, those Facebook Live and YouTube, it's always like during the day, at night. I want to be like the late night one. I know I'm going to have anywhere from one viewer to 14 yesterday, but I'm always thinking I will always have one viewer. Thank you again, honey. So that, because sometimes you see someone, when you watch it, 0 viewers. It's like, come on, get your boyfriend or husband or wife to watch. Come on, it's 1 hour. Anyway, so you can follow Steve on Instagram at Steve Trzaska, and make sure that there's a Z there, because the Z is silent though. And also at Twitter at Trzaska Tweet. And throughout the whole show, you'll see his info below there so that people are, informed. So we are now going to jump into everything about Steve. So this is the section called When the Stork Delivered the Baby, which means we want to know all about where you were born, raised, growing up, and the environment that you're in. Tell us about it.
Well, Roro, I actually was born and raised in the city of Las Vegas, Nevada, believe it or not. I'm one of the few that got out. A lot of my friends are still there, and that's good for them, but I just had to get out and do something more with my life. I grew up, I tried everything from basketball and soccer. Sports were not my thing. And then I saw a play at this theater company, and I told my mom, that's what I want to do. So she enrolled me in acting classes, and then from there I started doing lots of theater, and it fit.
So, do you have any siblings or?
I have a younger brother, and that's it.
Okay. Well, now, what about high school and your theater epiphany? I know that your mom introduced you to like all these shows and stuff, but we want to know. That was when you got interested, but when you went to high school, where did you go to high school? And tell us the process of how you even got more involved into theater.
Right. So I went to Chaparral High School, and that's Southeast Las Vegas. So I did not live on the Strip. A lot of people think that people in Vegas live on the Strip. That's not correct. It's actually a huge. It's a valley, right? So it's surrounded by mountains. So huge communities, master plan communities, and really wonderful neighborhoods. So I grew up probably like 15 minutes from the Strip, and literally lived down the street from my high school. I was in band for since sixth grade. Through 11th grade, through 10th grade. And then also choir. But then at the same time, I was starting to figure out theater, right? So I started taking acting classes. I was in the theater company. It was a Rainbow Company. Theater company. It was a youth theater company. We would have to audition for all of the shows. And if we didn't get if we didn't get cast, we were then assigned to a crew. So we had to do lighting or sound or costumes, which was all so helpful because, some people don't want to be actors, right? Some people, it really gave us the ability to figure out what we really, really liked. Some were really great stage managers. And then I also did theater at Chaparral. And yeah.
So tell us what shows when you were in high school and also when you did community theaters. Give us a example of the shows that you were involved in.
Well, one of my most favorite shows was Big River: The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah, I saw that in the Tony Awards. Like, there's this duet or something. It was amazing.
Yeah. It's been done a couple of times on Broadway, and I love it, and I hope it'll return again, and I might be able to join.
Great music.
Yeah, great. And I did Meet Me in St. Louis, Wizard of Oz. Yeah, Meet Me in St. Louis.
I love the classics.
Oh, I was Lon the brother, sang the banjo.
Oh my God. I'm excited. I was like, I'm already looking forward to showing them what you do and all that. That's why it's like, because now it's like, now I understand why you're so good at what you do. It's like, oh my God, all these experiences, the variety and the diversity of everything you do. By the way, talking about diversity, this is theater where there's a diversity in, sexuality and gender. How about diversity in race where you actually went? Like in Vegas, how was representation when you were growing
up? It was not as diverse as like California, where I live now. Yeah. We had a huge Mormon population in Vegas. So a lot of my friends were Mormon, and I got to learn more about that, and went to a few Mormon dances, so it was diverse, but it wasn't as diverse as it is now, as our country is now,
Yeah, so it could be, how would you describe, when people are, when what is that? Diversity do represent themselves. How was the camaraderie? How was the, because sometimes places could be diverse, but then you feel like don't feel as comfortable. How is it in the place you were in? Well, you said it was predominantly like in the Mormon thing, but Mormon has not a lot to do with the verse of what, like,
No, yeah.
more of the other. So
Yeah, I mean, everyone. I felt like there were cliques, but
yeah,
it
okay,
wasn't racial, right? So
it's just normal
yeah,
theater.
normal, like, yeah, theater kids, band geeks,
Got it.
stoners, all of that.
Oh, we gotta. What I got? This next like, oh, so Lisa Marie says, "Wizard."
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh,
Okay,
Lisa!
what does that mean?
Oh, Lisa. Yeah, she's one of my best friends still. Had no idea she was going to be watching this, but yeah, we go way back to high school, and she was in Wizard of Oz with me, and I assistant directed Steel Magnolias.
Wow.
My colors are blush and bashful.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for that nice shout out. So now we go to post high school, which is you went to Circle in the Square Theater School. So tell us about like your impression, experience, takeaway. Tell us about that whole experience now.
Yeah, so like I said, I just had to get out of Vegas. Vegas is a specialty culture, so specialty shows like Cirque du Soleil and headliners. And I wanted to continue on with that with my acting. So I was like, I need to get some serious training. New York, let's go. So I got into all of the conservatories in New York, but I decided on Circle in the Square Theater School. They accepted fewer people, and so I could get more specialized training. It was literally the best thing that I could have done for my career and my life. I finally felt like I was living my life. Like I felt like I call it like the treadmill of my life, right? I finally got on the treadmill. Before I was like a sponge, and then I finally got on the treadmill.
So how was when you first got there? You have no idea how New York was going to be,
Oh
and
my goodness.
no idea how the fellow New York natives are going to be there. Did you feel welcome immediately? What are the things? Did you have any what is that obstacles that you have, or because it was so accepting that it was a good transition?
Well, I first want to say this, that I wanted to try this huge thing. And because I didn't want to regret, I didn't want to, I wanted to just try it. And if I didn't like it, I'd come back to Vegas and say I tried it. But I tried it and I didn't, I haven't been back. So anyways, it was a huge change. I was away from all of my best friends and not knowing anyone. And, when you're in a new community, I was lucky enough to be at this conservatory where all of us were going through the same thing. So, we really got to know each other, and there were a lot of friends. We developed friendships, but also it's not like your best friend that you've had for 10 years. You're still getting to know each other, right? Plus, you're so the conservatory, so there's, for those that don't know, there is like a university where normally you would get a degree. So you'd get a degree in theater, and you would be taking the basics like math and English and all of that. But with a conservatory, you don't have to do that. It's strictly acting or about the business, right? So I took it was an amazing musical theater program. I took singing interpretation, singing technique, music theory, and
encompassing.
Yeah, I lived and breathed it for 2 years, and the first year I thought I sucked at everything, and then I was like, oh my god, why am I here? What's going on? And then my second year, my work just took off. And getting the solid foundation in theater was really a good thing for me, and the best. Yeah.
That's good. Well, now just a little side note here. For people who do not know about Circle in the Square, it is one of the two, and the other one is Vivian Beaumont Theater, the two Broadway theaters that uses a thrust stage. I love that word, thrust. Honey, we're going to use that tonight. That extends into the audience on three sides, just so people know what it looks like, okay? What are they talking about?
It's gorgeous. It's
exactly. That
And
what
the and the cool thing, Roro, the cool thing about going to Circle in the Square Theater School was that we had access to it, right? So it's this huge building right on 50th and Broadway. And we were in the basement. The school was in the basement. But then we would do, like, I did my final musical theater showcase on the stage, like, and just having Broadway actors coming in and out. Like, I met Jesse Tyler Ferguson, Deborah Craig. They were doing Spelling Bee at the time.
Yeah.
And it was so amazing to just be in it, where, like, in the place where it happens.
Yeah, I first of all, I really love that setup, and it's still intimate. It's not like Disney, for example. That the same thing is like the Disney Concert Hall has that same thing. But oh my God, when you're watching all the way in the very top, on the very top, you could kick the chair. Like it was, yeah. So I like the intimacy of this, and also a little bit, as he told you that he went to the Circle in the Square. I'd like to let everyone know that the alumni of this school includes Kevin Bacon, Benicio del Toro, Viola Davis, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Lady Gaga. You Google it. There's a lot more names there. But these are the ones that, personally for me, it's like, oh, Kevin Bacon. Yes.
Wait, is it? So wait, am I part of 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon then?
Right? Oh my God. Oh, you're right. It's like I'm vegan, but I wouldn't mind some Kevin Bacon. Oh, God.
I love bacon.
I love bacon. So now we move to you're done with school. You're
Where are
done
we moving to?
Okay. Now we go to your experience in regional and off Broadway. Tell us about how the transition was. When you were there, did you have good, your contacts, your process, and also the shows that you've done?
So right out of school, we had a final musical theater showcase and then a scene night, and I was able to get a commercial agent from there. And then I also booked a contract out of state at the same time. So I said, hi, thank you so much. I signed with my commercial agent and I said, by the way, I'm going to Minneapolis for a year. Is that okay? And they're like, of course, go ahead. We support you. I'm like, oh my God, great. So I went to Minneapolis. I worked with the Tony Award winning theater, the Children's Theater Company, huge budgets, beautiful shows, beautiful team, costumes were built for me. I was like, oh my goodness, like, how is this happening? I was like, this is what it's like,
Now, it's like when I started working opera, it's like,
oh my goodness.
What? They actually make you costumes? You don't have to like...
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. And Minneapolis is just so beautiful. So that was just so great to just, we did a lot of workshops on different other shows. And, I really I really learned how to do, 80 shows, 110. We did the Children's Theater Company is one of the few theaters that Dr. Seuss will allow to do How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So we did 110 performances of that. So I really learned how to be a working actor successfully.
That would never happen in 100 shows in one run. It's like, no, you'd be lucky if you get more than 13 performances.
Right, exactly.
It's a different beast. Not to mention, Coach Beast from Glee. That's
love her. Love her.
I know. We'll talk about it later. It's like I'm trying to put in oh my God. I think I'm doing a good job trying to get everything condensed because I want to talk more about because people, you got to stay because you got to see him in action. So we're getting there. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about his Metropolitan Opera debut. I'm sorry, some of the singers, they're gonna hate me for this. It's funny how, a lot of us try to be on the stage of opera, on the stage of the Metropolitan Opera, being as singers. Yet someone, an actor like Steve, done that. I'm just saying, don't hate me. Now talk about your Metropolitan Opera debut, your experience, your what is that? Your impression of the theater, the singers, and also your fellow colleagues.
Yes. So after I got done with my contract in Minneapolis, I was like, I have more to do. I'm not ready to settle down yet. I'm going back to New York. Let's do this. So I, got a restaurant job as we all do, and then just started auditioning again. And one of my auditions took me to the Metropolitan Opera, and they were casting a huge, huge, long show, War and Peace. Okay. I think the opera is like 4 hours. Is that correct?
So glad I was never in that. I'm just saying.
well, just between us.
and people who are awake.
Yeah. So there are supernumeraries, right? So basically, I'm an extra on the stage, right? Because the Metropolitan Opera is the most grandiose, one of the most grandiose operas. So they have horses. Like in this show, we had horses that were pooping on the stage. We had like goats and chickens and hundreds of soldiers. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to do this again. But then one of the casting directors, he called me, a wonderful guy, and he's like, I want to bring you in for this one show that's more you would be more featured as a supernumerary for Dr. Atomic, based on Oppenheimer, who created the atomic bomb. And the director ended up liking me, and I booked that, and it was such a great experience.
You know who the director was?
Penny.
Marshall. I'm kidding.
I was going to say that, but Penny something, and she was just so wonderful. And I was like, okay, I like these contracts. And I want to tell you. So then the next show, I want to tell you this because this is like really unique.
Yeah.
They were casting for From the House of the Dead, based on Dostoevsky's novel House of the Dead. It took place in a male prison, and Patrice Chéreau was the director. The late, unfortunately, Patrice Chéreau is the director of that show, and it was the U.S. premiere. And they had done it. I think they had done it in Paris. I forget where they had done it prior, but yeah, it was the U.S. premiere, and they wanted to blur the lines between the actors and opera singers, which never happens, right? So Patrice is like, we want these actors fully, we need to pay them a salary so we don't have any conflicts and they can focus on the show. And I was able, I did multiple callbacks. It was really exploratory, physical acting, they call it, where it's all about your body. And it was like the most amazing experience. But then to top it off, they told us when we were cast, one of you or two of you are going to be naked on stage. And because obviously the chorus, they wouldn't do it. They're like, right. So they were like blocking everyone. The directors, Patrice was like blocking everyone. And then finally they're like, yeah, we're going to do the naked scene the next day. And then he starts walking over to me and I'm like, oh no. I was like, oh my goodness. And he's like, would you, we would like you to be naked. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, okay, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. And it was the most freeing thing I've ever done on stage. It was amazing. And so I was pushed out of basically.
So during that time you were 12, and then when you got nudity, that's when your balls dropped. I'm kidding.
No, I know. But yeah, it was, one of the guards would just push me out onto the stage, front and center. I showed my butt in front of 4,000 people. Meryl Streep saw me, Mayor Bloomberg.
Like immediate audition. Thank you.
Yeah. So that was a specialty contract. And then I was like, and then there was rumors that there were naked sprites that were going to be in La Contessa Hoffman, where I met you, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But I was like, I went to the casting director, I said, naked sprites, and Bartlett Sher was directing, and I was like, oh, I want to work with him so bad. And so then I got cast in that, and they ended up cutting the naked sprites. So I was only naked once on the Metropolitan Opera stage, but it was an amazing experience, which led me to you.
Yes, and then A Tales of Hoffman, directed by Bartlett Sher,
Yes.
where Steve and I met. And I was
And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh.
I want you to praise me now.
Yeah, no, I know. No, Roro, seriously. You, first of all, let's not even talk about you as a person, but you as an opera singer with that character. I had never seen a character like you played on a stage before. It was just so compelling and so like your eyes went to you all the time. Oh, and your voice. I mean, I was like, yes. And then
you want to know, by the way, yes, go ahead.
And then you talked to me. You were actually nice. Normally opera singers don't talk to actors. It was just unbelievable. So
I can tell you for a fact that, when opera singers say, "Oh no, we're nice," everyone's like, "You're nice." There's a difference between nice and social. You know what I mean? You're nice. You don't have to be social to be nice, but it's nice when you're social. So one of the things about it is I always like to I don't know, I'm like a normal person. You know what it is? Because I'm a supporting artist, and I always feel, you know what, I feel like I will never belong to the leading role clique. I said, you know what, which is fine, because before opera I was in pop music and musical theater, so I know that theater people like to hang out even after a huge performance. It's like, I know we shouldn't be talking and stuff, but we're so used to it. That's how we are governed by our spirit. Let me tell you a story, though. I was supposed to sing in Tales of Hoffman. I was supposed to sing two roles, Nathaniel and Spallanzani, which is supposed to be the dad of Olympia, the doll.
Yeah.
But I know, okay, this is like live stream, but which is fine because this came from the director. The director, Bartlett Sher, who only worked with me, and I don't know what his process is, who only worked with me that one rehearsal, that one staging. I was called to the office of the administrator, says, yeah, the director thinks that you're too agile and too energetic to be playing a father. And I'm like, this is what I don't understand is, it's theater. Everything is made up. How can I show you how good of an actor I am? Because he just sees me, oh, this boy. It's like, no, I'm gonna be made up. I know there's gonna be a ball paper, but anyway. So I was supposed to be doing two roles there, just so you know, which I did. By the way, that role that I did not do later on, I do in LA Opera, directed by Marta Domingo, and it was a great role. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know I was able to portray that. But anyway, enough about me. I'm just saying that was the Metropolitan Opera story. Now we go to, where am I on the list? Oh my God, where am I on the list?
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. So after this whole theater thing that you did, then there's the move to Los Angeles. What we want to know is, was there something that happened or something that you realized that, you know what, I want to do something specific, and it will be in Los Angeles. Tell us about that.
Yeah, great question. When I was in New York, I felt like I was reaching in the, like, my success in my career was like in the clouds, and it was unattainable, right? Because like when you're in New York, you do these open calls. I was non-union at the time, and I would wait in the freezing cold at like 5 a.m., and like thousands of people are auditioning for these tours and everything. And I was just like, and then I'll never forget, I went to a summer stock open call, and ended up getting called back for the dance call. And exactly what you said, the struggle. Yes. So I got called to an open dance, or a dance call, the callback, and I look at everyone, and everyone is brown haired white boy.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I thought I was going to get into like the leads and like get into theater and with being in the ensemble, you know? And I'm like, no, because I look different than everyone. I'm like, no, I'm like meant to play like roles, like, like everyone that gets cast in the ensemble, they're still they're talented and everything, you know, but like
you're not meant to blend in.
Right, exactly. And that's what
you mean.
And then also like, yeah, like, you know, Jesse Tyler Ferguson was like in Spelling Bee, but like there weren't any other really roles written for a redhead that were currently on Broadway or on tour. And if there were a you know, because at that time, very few theaters were open to casting differently, right? So I was like, I need to like, what about LA? Someone put that in my head, and you know, since I'm from Vegas, I was like, yeah, it'd be so nice to just be around family again, closer. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try out LA. I'm just gonna try it. I went to visit a friend, and beautiful weather. I'm like, bye New York.
My thinking.
You know, I'm like, yeah, but okay, you know. So I was like, okay, like I always have a plan. So I was like, I'm gonna move in the summertime, and so I had 6 months saved up a little bit of money and came, and I had about I did just a headshot resume mailing and got about 20 agent meetings, which is crazy. And I was like, oh, okay. And then literally signed with an amazing agent. And then my first commercial audition I booked, and it's shot in Venezuela.
Wait,
and I'm like, huh?
You went to Venezuela?
I did.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay, that was my first commercial. And I'm like, I'm shooting on one of the most beautiful beaches in Venezuela, and like everyone's like watching me, and I'm like, this is what life is. This is where I'm meant to be. Yeah, it was amazing.
Now that you know, we're gonna skip now, because you know it's like it's time to show like certain things about
perfect
about stuff. So these are I have to do this so at least you can see that. So we're gonna show a couple of pictures first, and then
or do you actually want to show my commercial reel, since we're talking about
yes, okay, that'll be easier. Then I can actually do this. There you go. Now we're gonna show you what Steve does. Just, you know, just what he does. Let me see, how do I get rid of this thing? Just a second, and it's back to you. There you go. Now for your enjoyment, we'd like to show you Steve in commercials. Take it away.
My 100% all-white meat chicken sandwich is topped with my sweet and savory honey butter sauce. Hey, we've got another mind blown here.
Dear ESPN, in honor of our new movie Onward, Tom and I are sending you magic.
Excellior. Aloft Elevar.
Icebreaker's gun comes in a pocket pack. I can take it anywhere.
To the shoe store!
Fred! Go get my rider. We're going through the whole thing again.
Again?
Yes, the rider makes the man. How does a redheaded stepchild have a redheaded stepchild?
Hello?
Wow! There's coffee all over my shirt.
Ooh. DJ, reel that.
You extinguish me with your love. Together, we are free.
Okay, Cupid.
Oh, yeah.
And rounding out the entourage, there's an Eagle Scout with a visible boner.
Hi. Seven Rikas, yo querer toparles.
Chino. Orbit Tropical Remix.
Yes.
A great booking room.
Massive deal.
Bluetooth.
When you don't watch the Teen Choice Awards, people think you're not cool. When people think you're not cool, they pants you in public. When your friends unfriend you, you have to find real friends. When you have to find real friends, you need to shower regularly.
What? It's funny how like, wait, that's the last one, and then it goes to us like, uh-oh, you should smell that. Awesome. Now, yeah, I was like, I do want to show the comedy part. It's like in its entirety at some point because we do have time. Now, before we do that though, I want to a few of your favorite things in television, film, and commercials. Like, I know it's a lot, but just like certain like things that pop into like, oh, when you did certain commercials or when you guested in certain shows. By the way, tell them exactly. By the way, where. Oh wait, I do have a list here. Oh yeah, I did put that on the notice. But tell them again, like the shows that you've appeared in.
Okay. Well, that's a lot. Like
I know.
That's a lot to, like, I don't know. I can't rattle it off.
I know. It's like there's.
But well, hold on. So let's just like, because you'll probably play my comedy reel too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, let's just skip that for right now. But let's so one of my I've been very lucky to travel for work a lot. Like, right. So I've shot commercials in Venezuela, Cancun, Mexico City. I shot Marvels and Humans in Hawaii. So that's all been amazing. And every time I'm in first class, because SAG has to fly you first class, I'm like bawling. Because I'm like, no, I'm like,
oh my
God. I'm doing what I love. And I'm like, yeah. So that's just like that's what I really love. I probably one of my most favorite jobs is, being cast on Glee. I was initially cast as recurring, but we were part of the Glee Club in the New York cast. So all the characters were growing up, going to a conservatory, and we were trying to get Chris. What was it?
Do you remember what season?
I think it was the last season, actually.
Final season.
Yeah, we're called the Adams Apples. We were cast recurring, and we had waited about a month to find out. Like, because that's the thing with auditions, you just audition and you don't perfect. Great. That's us. Yes. And the thing is, when you audition, you don't know if you're ever going to find out. They're seeing so many people, and especially for this was see how we're all unique and different. Yeah. That's what they spent a month casting. So I'm like, yeah, I didn't get it, and then I get the call from my agent. I'm like, oh my goodness, because also I'm singing and dancing, and acting, and basically bringing all of my musical theater background to this. So I was just like, in all my glory. It was the best time and the best cast, such a great group. And then unfortunately, Corey Monteith passed away. And then
I cried, by the way.
Yeah. So
I cried. I was like, because you're so, we watched this from the beginning until the very end. I mean, when Supergirl used to be Marley.
Yeah, exactly. They brought basically the storyline back to the high school. So, at least that's what I'm thinking, but don't quote me. I'm not the writer or anything. So, but yeah, so we only shot one episode. But yeah, that was probably one.
All right. Now we're going to see, before I go on to the next section, let's watch this one now. This is the comedy part. It's like, I'm excited because they're also going to see, is this the one where they're also going to see part of Glee, right?
I think so, yeah.
This is the only one I could find back there.
Randy. I am not buying it. I think you're holding out on me. Now, I don't know if you're saving them for sledding, but I know you got a secret stash. So why don't you march yourself back to wherever you're hiding it and bring Mama the good stuff?
There he is. That's Jess. That's the guy. That's the guy. Oh,
hey. I came as soon as you called.
I am so glad you made it here, Jess. Thank God you're here.
You gotta help me. The cops are right on my
tail. Nice try, Ellis. You're under arrest.
I loved the love-hate relationship between Skip and Kenworthy. It really excited me to see that dynamic between a hero and villain. What was the inspiration for that?
I just got lucky. It was what my editor wanted, and it worked.
Is Kenworthy gonna come back in the sequel? Boss, the new Spice Girl CD isn't ringing up. The line out front has gone from baby to scary.
Silent Arnold shares his library with the entire office park.
Dynamite haircut, Arnold.
Silent Arnold? Someone hacked the database and took the chocolate machines offline. That means all cocoa-based stocking stuffers are running late.
And I'd rather stay and play. So ladies.
So that one, you know what? I recognize you in every single thing, but I'm trying to know what year that Glee was.
I don't remember.
You know, because every time you're on TV, I recognize you, this and that. But I cannot believe I didn't recognize you on Glee. I'm trying to see, was that before 2009? It has to be. Has to be. Anyway, so that was him. I think he's amazing. It's like, you know, like I said, every time I see it, it's like, oh my God, because it's just, you know, it's the sunshine that you bring on the screen. And I love how you get to always use your hairstyle. How is that?
Okay, well, let me tell you, I am over it.
Really?
But like,
yes,
as a real person, I am over it. But it's it books me things, so I just take care of her.
I know.
And that's what I have to do, you know. Until it starts falling out, right?
That's true. So now I'm gonna ask you. Your most memorable Starstruck moment. Do you remember at all? Like when you met someone, you're like, I can't believe I'm working with this person. I know there's certain people, or you just can't. You know, do you have anything? Or it's like, well, I look in the mirror every day, and I'm like starstruck.
No, I'm you know, my first reaction is I normally don't get starstruck. I'm just grateful to be working with these people. And also, if I have starstruck in my mind, I'll get nervous and not be able to. So I kind of just like, I'm like, yeah, like they're like me. We're just working actors. Like, let's just do this, you know. But I'm trying to think. It's just funny, like it's more fun and funny,
yes,
you know. Like we're working with like Snoop Dogg and Magic Johnson.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like hilarious.
Well, it's you have a point, because when you're not working with them and you just see them, that's one starstruck moment. But when you're working with them, it's a different feeling. Like for me, when I work with fellow opera singers, I'm like, oh, the only person I really got starstruck with, because I'm thinking the only time I knew was starstruck was my debut at the Met with Renee Fleming.
Oh,
so it was on the same stage, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm singing with her. I'm actually having a dialogue with her. That's the only time. I don't know why. With others, yes, there is a starstruck, but I'm working with them. I get starstruck outside of work, but never while I work. All right, now, nothing? Yes? No? Most embarrassing moment? Do you?
Well, I'm trying to.
That's PG-13 or R-rated.
Yeah,
I mean, it's late at night. Come on.
Well, I'm trying to think if I've ever had. Well, two things. So what initially I thought of when I was assistant directing Stu Magnolias, and I was leading warm-ups with the cast, and we were on the stage, and there were stairs going down to the ground of the floor of the theater. And I remember falling backwards and literally going backwards on the steps. Yeah, and I was just like, and I did it in rhythm, and it was just funny, and I was like shocked, and everyone was like cracking up. I was like, oh my goodness. But then the second thing was I was doing Seussical in Minneapolis, and I was a Wickersham brother. And I really worked on my dancing for this role because we had to do triple pirouettes.
Oh, I can only do double right now, so fine.
Crazy. We had to do triple pirouettes and then do a kick into a split. And but the thing is, we did so much dancing because that's what Wickersham brothers do. And I there was one, because you just have to do it. You've trained, you just have to do it. If you think you're gonna mess up, right? So
exactly.
So what I had to there was one show out of like the 80 performances that I thought during one of our routines, and it's 4 of us, and they're going this way and I'm going the other way because I'm thinking, and I'm like, oh Lord. Yeah. So that's
that's pretty much. Yeah. Now outside of of the film and the theater. Oh, by the way, we got to do a shout out for about you, because your friends were watching or are watching.
Really?
Oh, yeah, of course. Ellen says Steve Trzaska is awesome.
Oh my God.
Steve is awesome. It's so hardworking, and she answered our question. Glee.
Oh, she would do that. She's so on the ball. Let me tell you.
Oh, and then Steven says, it's true. There have been times we were watching something and Ro will always say, I know that guy. No, you have no idea. Because you're doing so many of these commercials, and also in certain scenes, I'm like, oh, there he is again. No, really, it's so much fun. Now, okay, favorite hobby and activity, in which I will also, because I saw this, that you were part of the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so I don't get to do a lot of theater here because a lot of the really good theaters, they're far away. So it can be in normal pre-COVID traffic. It would take like 3 hours to get to a rehearsal. Well, if I have an audition or a callback at like 5 p.m. and I have a 6 p.m. rehearsal 3 hours away, that's not happening, right? So I just can't do theater. So I was like, I tried everything. I was like, I did a cabaret class. I remember like something to just have me singing again. And then I remember I did, I saw their holiday concerts.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this so bad.
Holiday concerts are always good, just so
oh
you know.
my goodness, yeah. But I was like, but then I had just missed the auditions and something. I don't think I was able to audition that year. But then the next year I auditioned and I got in, and it was amazing. 300 guys, 300 talented.
300 guys. You know how that sounded like?
300 talented men. And my first concert was a Broadway concert, and I auditioned for the Book of Mormon numbers and was easily booked that.
It was all about timing, because the first time you got in and then they're doing theater, it's like, that's what it was meant to be. It was meant to be. And
Yeah.
which number did you do from
So we did hello.
Hello,
And
yeah.
Hello. My
Yeah,
name is
Elder were
Steve.
you.
Yeah. And then we did hello and turn it off.
Turn it off. Yes, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Any
that's
other
just
activities
great.
that you do? Like, I mean, you're busy. I know you probably don't have as much time, but when you do you have stuff that you like to do?
Well, I always find time to volunteer. And right now, I am volunteering a lot at the LGBT Center, donating or delivering food to seniors that are in need and or that can't leave their houses, right? And I also like putting together groceries for them. So I'm just like trying to just, I have a little bit of downtime now while still auditioning. So I'm like, volunteer. But yeah, so I always do that even when I'm busy. And then, I mean, listen, we're in LA, right? So we're in a lockdown, or what do they call it? Stay at home, right? So but I have to get out and walk around my neighborhood and enjoy this beautiful weather. We are so lucky. Because you're in Chicago, right?
I'm in Chicago. You know, you mentioned about that when the pandemic hit, and you know, I'm in home tech. You know, I can make money. I can make money staying at home, teaching, and doing all these like online stuff. However, I said no, that's not me. I need interaction with people. So I said, you know what? I know it's in these times, if you can find something to do or work, find it. So right now, like I said on my post, I'm working at 7-Eleven as a sales associate, you know, like part-time to full-time hours, and maybe once or twice a week I would teach. And at the same time, I actually want to do this so that I'm fully, you know, well-rounded, because I can't just stay home.
No, I know, me either. I'm like, nope, I have to be going. And my friends, they're like, oh, you're going again? I'm like, yep,
so that's something we could say. Oh, you don't want to stay home? Go volunteer. At least you're doing something. Right?
Oh yeah. And there are volunteer opportunities now, especially, that you don't have to leave your house. If you don't want to leave your house, and you know, wear a mask or whatever, like if you just want to just be comfortable in your house, that's fine. There are so many organizations that you can help them from the comfort of your own house. So you just have to seek them out, seriously.
Yeah. So now for the last section of trivia, a binge-worthy show or shows, you know, that we talked about this earlier, that you are not in.
Well, you know, people are going to be like, really, Steve? But I'm still hooked on Grey's Anatomy. And I've never auditioned for the show / been on it, and I want to be on it so bad because I love the show so much. And especially this season, they're incorporating all the COVID experiences that the world is going through, and showcasing just, it's just the stories. A lot of past characters are coming back. So that's amazing. And then Roro. RuPaul's Drag Race has basically got me through the first 6 months of this, because that's what we need.
RuPaul's Drag Race. Did you see the UK version?
I did, yes. I did not see the Holland. Was there a Holland one too, and a Canadian one, I think, too, right?
We have not seen. You know, I have a friend who's Canadian. Binge it, bitch. RuPaul's Drag Race. We have not seen the Canadian yet. They said the Canadian was. It's funny because I heard that they are so nice to each other because they're Canadian. So we don't know what kind of shade we're gonna hear.
Oh my god!
Like nice shade. So that's what we're gonna hear from Canadian ones. So well, first, so thank you for joining us in tonight's show. Look at this. It's like, oh my god, I have to do this. By the way, I have to be in a very, very good hour because Steve still has like a 7 a.m. thing to do tomorrow. So
yeah, I have a 7 a.m. call time. I'm shooting something, you know, COVID precautions and everything, so we're all good. I was tested. We're all tested.
Can you disclose if it's film or TV?
I can't say anything.
Oh, darn it! But you're gonna be in it, so at least you can say that, right? Okay, good. So now for the last thing, I always ask my guests to do whatever kind of message they want, and I have picked this for Steve to as his final message for tonight's show.
So I'm working on a solo musical right now called Camp Ginger, an original solo musical, and it's about identity and really embracing who you are. You know, there are a lot of haters out there, but you know, you just have to look deep down and love yourself. You know, like RuPaul says, if you don't love yourself, how the hell are you gonna love anyone else, right?
Oh, can I get an amen up in here? Amen! Say goodbye to our viewers.
Happy holidays.
Yay! Thank you. Oh, me. There am I. Yes. So that was Steve, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us in this very, very fun. Look at me, like while I'm talking to you and looking in the abyss, I'm like clicking on stuff because I don't have an assistant. So thank you again for joining us. You could follow me on Facebook and YouTube. You could subscribe on YouTube actually, and join us every night except Sunday night, every night. And follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Roro the Tenor. I have to end now because I have to go into the